high pressure division, right? Derek's got a lot of pressure. Russell's got a lot of pressure.
You see the car he rolled up in today?
Russell?
Yeah, it looked like a car from like the Transformers. It's outrageous.
No, I'm going to do a little Twitter search here. The Chiefs have the least pressure, but when you are one of the top dogs, there's just an inherent pressure on you. And as I said, the Chargers, I mean, there's only so many years you can go with a generational young quarterback not making, any headway and get away with it.
I think the most pressure, if he were to have another awesome year and be a top 5 quarterback and go 3 straight years out making the playoffs with Justin Herbert as your quarterback, when 2 of those years have had 7 seeds, would be the worst thing ever. I just don't think that can happen. You could argue they have the most, just given that, assuming Herbert's just going to maintain his level of play. Because ultimately, we've talked about Carr. Look at that thing. You never know if it snows in Denver. You got to be ready.
Russell Wilson said, year 11, still got that new car smell. Has anyone ever showed up in their own jersey for the first day of camp? I like that move.
Yeah, I was thinking about that earlier today. What the hell is he doing there? But how's he looking? Chubby or?
Yeah, hard to say, hard to tell in this photo.
I think one of his problems is when you're just shorter. He clearly is stockier than he used to be. It's just hard to wear your weight,
Yeah. I think there's heat on this team. I mean, they don't get to, you and I were talking about this yesterday. The Broncos don't just get to pick up where they left off. Okay, Vic won us 7 games. We add Russell. We should get to 10. It's like, well, no. Vic was a good coach. He wasn't an NFL head coach that deserves an extension, but you were really good on defense, and Vic Fangio was your head coach. I guess you should have been really good on defense. They just hired a coach who's never been a head coach before. So Nathaniel Hackett, we're rooting for him. Davis, bald brotherhood for you. But he doesn't just get to start with Vic's 7 wins and then add to it.
Well, how would you rank? Obviously, Andy's number 1. Would he have to be last? At least Brandon Staley has coached the season and won 9 games. Hackett would have
honestly,
to be last.
I might go Josh too. McDaniels.
I would go Josh too. Because if you gave if you and I owned a team and we couldn't hire Andy and we had to hire one of the other 3, I would hire Josh McDaniels. I would not hire Brandon Staley. Of course not. And a couple years ago, people were making fun of. He looks a little slimmer there. Is he sucking in?
Did Russell take multiple versions of these photos? Hold on, get me again coming through the front door. Hold on.
God, he's got to
keep
wear
going.
people out. Looks like the sun's been up there for a little while. First one in.
A lot of other cars in the parking lot, John.
I'm with you on. I think the Raiders have the second best coach in the division, but they don't have as much talent. I think if you just polled 4 GMs, if you just said pull up the 4 rosters in the division, and again, we're nitpicking here. Raiders might be 4th. Now, again, relative to other divisions, they would be viewed as 2nd in a lot of divisions. But on paper, the Chargers are the best. The Chiefs are the Chiefs. And the Broncos roster is better than the Raiders roster. Now, does that, like you said, I saw Howie had a good comment today.
Howie Roseman, GM of the Eagles.
They're they're really trying to build up this Eagles season. They're like, Howie, you were around when the team traded for Terrell Owens. Do you remember? Is the buzz in training camp right now similar to that year? It's like, Jesus. I was like, and his point was, listen, just because your team is really talented, the most talented team we ever had did not win the Super Bowl, and the most talented team we didn't have, we had a talented team, but we won a Super Bowl with a team just on paper that would not be as high as some other teams. That doesn't guarantee you shit in football. Where in baseball, if you have a top 5 roster in the league, you're going to win 90 games. Me and you could manage them. They're winning 90 games. Where in football, we've seen a lot of teams with a lot of talent win 7 games. So that's training camp, in the NBA, doesn't mean shit. Spring training, basically the roster's already set. In football, it does matter. We can't really tell on the outside, but for the coach and the GM and the scouts and the assistant coaches, you talk to them right now and you talk to them in 20 days, God, we've come a long way. I feel we've built this. We have a lot better understanding of the scheme. It's a very, very important time for football teams, right? that's hard to quantify for the fan. Because especially like once the preseason games come, like I can't really tell the Denver Broncos if their third string guy starts the game and Russell's in there and sweats.
Right.
But the practices mean a lot, especially the padded ones. And even Kyle, was it yesterday, talking about like, it's why I don't make huge statements on the offensive line. Like until the pads come on, we can't make statements of this guy's playing here, this guy's playing there. Right. And that's the cool part about football. And that's to me where the Chiefs have such a leg up, right? I know they've lost Tyreek, but their core, their star players, their coach, their quarterback, like they have just been doing it for so long. The other teams, there's a lot in flux. Broncos, major flux. Josh McDaniels is like instituting Josh McDaniels, who he keeps claiming, I'm not Belichick. Derek, everyone's acting like, we'll see. Again, I'm bullish on him, but even the Chargers, like Khalil Mack, J.C. Jackson, I mean, they got a lot of new moving parts.
Let me ask it to you this way. Rank the AFC West by the teams that have the biggest gap between how good they could be and how bad they can be.
I'd say it's definitely the Raiders and the Broncos have a huge swing. And when I say huge swing, like I could see the Broncos if Russell's an MVP winning 12. Probably can't see the Raiders winning 12. But if I can see them winning 10 or 11, I could also see them winning 7.
I would have said that Denver's floor is the lowest. And I think that based on their coach. Now, tell me again how many touchdowns and interceptions Russell Wilson threw last year?
27-6.
27-6.
Had mallet finger, missed 3 games.
Might be washed. 27-6. If Trey Lance has 27-6 this year, they might extend him immediately.
For sure.
27-6. And the team wasn't really all that good, right? They weren't any good.
He does have, I mean, their 1-2 combination with Lockett and DK is pretty fucking good, right?
So, I mean, they got some pretty good players in Denver, too.
They got Judy, they got Sutton. I mean, they got some players.
So their floor is the lowest.
Did Denver draft the UCLA tight end?
Good, third round, Dulcich.
I like that guy.
Yeah.
And they have Javon, the dude from North Carolina a year ago. They drafted the running backs, pretty sweet. Like they got offensive pieces. Their offensive line's good. But again, like this is where the difference, I'd say the Raiders and the Broncos in terms of the swing factor. Derek's very easy to coach. Derek wants to please. Derek is there to be a partner. Where I will agree with you on the Russell skepticism is like, is Russell there to be a partner, or is he there to like up his brand?
The good man brand. Isn't that the name of the brand?
Shoes are sweet. I'll give him that. The shoes are sweet. But I mean, from a football standpoint, like, is he there to try to win the MVP and throw a bunch of touchdowns, or is he there to like do what's best for the team? And it's where I do struggle with him a little bit. Like before last year, he has been a winner. He wins. So it's like he's a pain in the ass. It's probably a little more NBA-ish, but he's NBA-ish where you're still winning games, right? It's not like, well, Russell, remember those 3 years where him and Pete? Well, no, beside last year where he had Malafinger, they won minimum 9 games. And basically every year going to the playoffs. But like, does he feel like he can shove this guy around a little bit? And that's where Derek could be coached by you or by Belichick, and I think he's giving the coach the same respect. That's where with Russell, I just wonder, like, does he try to flex his muscle a little bit more this year? Which, how could he not, right? Because he's never been given that autonomy with Pete always like telling him to run it. Where I do think Derek, and I think Devontae's nature, they are playing for Josh, not like we're going to tell you what to do.
Part of it is we know if you do it the way Aaron Rodgers wants to do it, that works. It might be that doing it the way Russ wants to do it works, but it's the other question is like, how is Russ all in on this here with these people, with this coach? Because Aaron doesn't do it. I don't think anyone thinks Matt LaFleur, when Aaron Rodgers retires, is just going to keep winning 13 games a year.
Say he come back to earth a little bit.
But maybe he's still a really good coach. Like, we'll find out, right? Like, my bet is he's still a pretty damn good coach. Now, you still need a quarterback just like everybody else.
Well,
But
if Aaron were to retire after this year and he threatens it every year, Jimmy Garoppolo destination next year? Not crazy. Keep an eye.
Yeah, not terrible. Be a hell of a football life. Back up Brady, play for the Pats, go to the 49ers, go to the Super Bowl, go to the Packers, follow Rodgers. With like 1 year on the Texans in the middle of it all.
Maybe he just avoids that his whole life.
Some guys do.
Yeah. Michael Jordan played for the Wizards, so you never know.
Well, I told you to watch this Jeter doc. David Cohn had played for the Mets. Then he goes to the Blue Jays. Then the Yankees trade for him before the deadline, Jeter's rookie year. And Cohn said, I was so happy to get back to New York. Like 6 years I'd been out of New York, where every time you take the mound, it is just electric. 6 years is a long time to be away from that. But some guys, he didn't get to skip it, but he spent a lot of his career in New York. Russ is weird. Like Russ is like spent his career in like really cool cities to live in, but not really like the biggest NFL cities in the world. Although Seattle, he helped make Seattle.
He made Seattle,
and Denver's a great.
Denver. I mean, Denver went for $4.4 million.
Well, I understand. My point is like it's not exactly the Giants, but
he gets credit for going like Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, creating the Thunder. He created Seattle.
I mean, and Denver is a great NFL town. Don't get me wrong. Sando said the other day, I think it was Sando that said it's underrated how much pressure there is internally in Denver. They're trying so desperately to get back to what they once were because they were a premier NFL franchise.
I mean, Elway got fired, resigned. John Elway did.
Yeah.
Their standards are pretty high. Like ultimately, Seattle, are their standards that high, or did they just get pretty lucky that they had an incredible run? If you told me Seattle kind of sucks for the next 10 years, I believe you. Denver despises sucking. I mean, they are trying. They're doing everything. They're always hiring high-level guys. Like, you got to give them credit. They went from Elway to get General Patton, who'd been interviewing for he had been the Ballard for 3 years, turning people down. They take huge swings.